everybody. I'm just a simple man back from Toronto, and my name is Noah Foster. And welcome once again on normal schedule to another episode of 205 Live Matters, episode number 31. Thank you, as always, to everyone who tunes in and for all your support. Negative or positive, you keep the show going. Your opinions matter. Tonight we are going to discuss this week's episode 205 Live, as well as some thoughts on Buddy Murphy, Johnny Gargano, the events to come next week on 205 Live, and of course my live experience, not only meeting some of these cruiserweights, but seeing Drew Gulak versus Lee Lorcan, as well as your watch experience on the kickoff show, my friend. With that, let me introduce you to my friend. He is a family man. He is my co-host in 205 Live Matters, a huge contributor to the hashtag 205 Live Matters Facebook group. It's, of course, my good friend here at the holiday, Mr. Christopher Mace. Chris, how are you? And how was your SummerSlam weekend?
Oh, it was a long weekend. Like I said, that network, I was about to, oh, man, I had to complain about the network, how it did this weekend. It did horrible this weekend. Like I said, you got to see the matches live, so you didn't have any issues where everybody was having with the network this weekend with TakeOver and SummerSlam.
Wait, what happened on the network?
The network lagged, so the Cruiserweight title match, we didn't get to, on the network itself, we didn't get to see the majority of it till the ending because it kept lagging so bad.
Damn.
I had to actually go back and watch it on YouTube, where they did the pre-show on the YouTube like they do. They offer it on YouTube and they offer it on the network. And I actually had to go back and watch it on YouTube because it didn't lag there, but it lagged on the network, kept having to restart over, freeze up, restart, or it was like 2 minutes behind.
Jeez. Well, I will say this, seeing it live also, man, I didn't see no freaking bullshit promos about it's Becky Lynch versus Natalya. It's Kofi Kingston versus Orton. Orton should have became WWE champion, damn it! But
yeah,
that's main roster. That's for another day. Shout out to Virtue, by the way. Go watch that clip. Me and him are in agreements on that. Anyway, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm glad you did get to see it. So, besides that, family doing okay and everything like that, and you were able to watch the show, right?
Yeah, I was able to watch the show, but like I said, the issue with the networks is with TakeOver was doing the same thing. It was about a minute lag. Me and Cindy G were texting back and forth all weekend about it, the lag and the lag in the shows. It was like, okay, well, I mean, we're like a minute or so behind right now.
I mean, people would probably think that's insignificant, but you'd be surprised what could happen in minutes, especially when it comes to the Cruiserweight match. Or Heel Survivor's Cancer Race was my match of the weekend.
Or what was interesting with Cindy be saying, like, did you see the finish of that match? And I'm like going, no, I'm still on it. Like, you could tell the difference in it where she was at and I was at watching the network. So
I see. I'm sorry to hear that. So let's go ahead and try and talk about the Cruiserweight title match from SummerSlam, because I'm sure we're going to have a lot of thoughts on that compared to the events that happened this week on the episode 205 Live. So let's go ahead and talk about the SummerSlam Cruiserweight title match. I, of course, saw it live. No interruptions, no stupid lame brain promos, like I said. And I thought, for what they were given, it was okay until I saw Tuesday. And I'm like, why the hell didn't you give me this live at freaking SummerSlam? But hey, I got to meet Drew Gulak live. He truly is about 205 Live. There, it's so redundant. Hashtag 205 Live Matters. I got to meet the Brian Kendrick, saw Jack Gallagher, got to meet Drake Maverick himself. It was a great fun at the meet and greet, and I loved seeing Drew Gulak only looking live at SummerSlam. They both brought it in one of Drew Gulak's, I think, more compelling challengers, per se, because this was not really a wrestling match. This was a fight. I know it adapts in one styles, but I mean, from the get-go, ding, ding. Drew Gulak goes for his typical stick, only like a hellfire, out the gate, just attacking Gulak. This match really didn't change in the person's favor until pretty much Gulak had him situated in the middle of the ring. I bet it's when you all were seeing stupid lame brain promos. And then we get towards the end where he breaks out, only gets a little furious. Drew Gulak capitalizes, has him down. He insults him, and then out of nowhere, only just rises up and goes, ah! And then tries to attack Gulak. Gulak knocks him down again. Only gains the momentum. Only in the end, Gulak retains with a little bit of, not breaking, but bending the rules, a straight shot to the Adam's apple that basically incapacitated Lorcan enough for him to hit his Cyclone Crash for the win. Very interesting considering what I remember seeing in the past matches, how Drew Gulak won with the Gulag. Not the case here, and I think this match went for what? 8 minutes, if that, and that's if you just saw without promo time or focused on the actual match versus the actual promo window. But again, that's just me watching from live from the No DQ Skybox, as we call it. And it was freaking awesome. So, Chris, what was your thoughts on this match, your takeaways from it, and what was it like watching it on the network, despite technical difficulties?
Well, like I said, I had to actually go back and rewatch the match because what we got to see was pretty much, besides when they wasn't freezing, you got to see of course, the promos for the main card that we all hate when they do that during the Cruiserweight title match. And then, like I said, but it kept freezing. So the point was, by the time it actually started working kind of right for now, I got to see the ending where he hit him in the throat and Adam's apple, and he hit his finish to beat him. So after going back and actually after the show was over and going back on YouTube where it wasn't lagging for the pre-show, which they might need to take that advice. They got the network offering it on YouTube because it seems like YouTube don't lag, or at least alleviating some of that weight from the network trying to distribute these shows. They need to release some bit, put people on the YouTube, offer it on YouTube. You can pay for it the same way and have it advertise it on YouTube for these pay-per-views as well. If you have a W Network subscription, fee and a password, you can watch it that way. Alleviate some of that, maybe that'll help. But
it sounds like the W Network upgrade. There's been more issues than its resolutions.
Yeah. But for the match itself, after I finally got to enjoy it after SummerSlam ended, I thought it was okay for what the time they had. It only clocked in like at I think it was 7 minutes, 17 seconds, something like that. But, like I said, it is what it is. And like I said, I think they did the main event on 205 Live tonight as a make good because of the fact that there were so many issues on the network that people couldn't really see the match and had issue with it. So I think they did this rematch as a make good because of what happened at SummerSlam with the network issue. That's my opinion on why they did the rematch.
Okay, well, with that, let's just go ahead and get into this week's episode then, because ironically, this episode kicked off with a video package that I think almost could have clocked in as long as the Cruiserweight title match at SummerSlam, but made it seem much more epic, compelling, and why we got the rematch tonight. We start off with, of course, WWE's biggest strength, to my knowledge, video packaging. Tremendous video package showing this clash as epic as the slow-mo type battle of Scar versus Simba from The Lion King, in my opinion. And in the end, we also saw the outcome, too. Then we go right into the show. No Drew Gulak introducing us, no Cruiserweight introducing us, just straight into the show. And this show emanated, of course, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada on episode number 148, I believe. I hate the number episode numbers. On, of course, Tuesday, August the 13th. And we get right into it. They tell us our main event tonight is a SummerSlam rematch. The Cruiserweight Championship was once again on the line between Drew Gulak and Oney Lorcan. And this was hyped up throughout the entire night. But before we got there, we actually had rematches this week on 205 Live, which in my opinion, when done right, gives you a pretty darn good show. And I feel it's the perfect number of matches for the show. You don't necessarily need a squash. This was proof. Our opening match was Jack Gallagher versus Akira Tozawa with the Brian Kendrick in his corner. And this was a match basically saying that, you know what, if it wasn't for Akira Tozawa, I'm pretty sure that I probably would be going for the Cruiserweight title. It's been like 3 years now. And then Tony Nese getting the advantage of me. And then apparently Brian Kendrick vouched for Akira, saying, well, if it wasn't for Jack, Akira Tozawa probably would have been in that match. Because if you remember, the events of six-pack challenge that occurred, both of these men kind of cost each other. So this was basically a match to regain some momentum and maybe a little bit of self-validation. And I thought this was a very compelling opener. So before I get into my moments and thoughts on this match, Chris, what was your takeaway from this match?
I thought it was very interesting match how they did this. I thought, like I said, there's history with Jack Gallagher and the Brian Kendrick, and we all know that. And, well, we'll go into that later when we talk about my next pick from my top list. But there's history there, like I said, and then you have Akira Tozawa who's like floating around right now. So he needed this big win, but here's the thing, though, too. Wasn't without controversy, and that was what I found interesting. Wasn't without controversy because you see where his Gallagher's foot was on the rope, and then you see how Brian Kendrick nonchalantly was putting his hand on the rope. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Nonchalantly putting his hands on the rope, hitting the rope where his foot came off the count of three. So, Yeah, and storyline, the gentleman's got a rightful place to complain about that. His foot was on the rope. But, like I said, referee didn't see it, so referee's decision stands. So Akira Tozawa won the match. So I think we're going to get a rematch out of these two, or we're going to get Brian Kendrick and the gentleman matchup again. I would love to see that matchup again, especially if they do what they did a couple years ago. That would be interesting to see.
Indeed. Yeah, and I mean, this was your typical run in the middle. We got all the fun spots here. I mean, the most compelling point I saw was when we almost had a repeat of Cesaro from SummerSlam, I believe, last year, where literally Jack Gallagher elevated Akira Tozawa into the turnbuckle, the friggin' ring post, the very top of it. I'm almost thankful it was his forehead, even though that was a concussion, almost scary, versus his jawline. But then again, Akira Tozawa, unlike Cesaro, had his mouthpiece. He probably would have been protected. But either way, this was the real turning point of the match as Akira landed awkwardly on his forehead on the top ring post. And down the ring, the Brian Kendrick, the fastest I've seen him run in a while, checking on Akira Tozawa, and Jack Gallagher almost gained a count-out victory. And we find blood. Yeah, blood and guts. No blood and guts, right? Anyway, yeah, Akira Tozawa basically busted a little bit open purely from that spot on his forehead. You can see his eyes glazed over a bit, too. We get the Goya Especial. We get, of course, our favorite moves. My favorite move, the fake-out jab, suicide headbutt dive. I don't know if that was very smart after that antic. Missile drop kick. Jack Gallagher gets face planted after trying to get out of a deadlift from Akira Tozawa. And then going forward towards the end of the match, Akira Tozawa, he did hit his senton bomb, much to the excitement of the Brian Kendrick. And 1, 2, wait, foot on the rope. Wait, what? 3. Oh, that's 3. Now we go back to the replay, and I saw it too, so Vic, thank you for confirming it. The Brian Kendrick, maybe a little too excited because he wasn't looking at the rope, it seemed, but we know he was doing this. Each time the count happened, I kid you not, there's a reason he's called the man with a plan. I bet you this was planned. The reason I say this is because if you remember back in 2017, there was a time when the Brian Kendrick wanted to bring Akira Tozawa on as his protege. And Akira Tozawa, you're right, he's kind of lost in it right now because, again, this is the only title in the division, the Cruiserweight title. And he had chance after chance after chance after chance after qualifying chance. And now he's just, stuck. But Jack Gallagher, he's still looking for his second chance, 3 years. I feel like we're on the verge of Akira Tozawa turning heel. And I feel like the Brian Kendrick is leveraging that because, obviously, the Brian Kendrick played this match in Akira's favor. There's no way that if the Brian Kendrick wasn't out there, this match would have ended. This match would have been continued. They would have saw the foot on the bottom rope. So, like you said, I am curious to see where they go from here. Is Jack Gallagher going to ask for a rematch with Akira Tozawa and talk about this with Drake Maverick? Is Jack Gallagher going to go after a match with B. Brian Kendrick? Is he going to confront B. Brian Kendrick? Is Akira Tozawa going to acknowledge this and wonder why B. Brian Kendrick maybe did this? There's many different ways this can go now, but I think we kind of have an idea what's next for at least Akira Tozawa and Jack Gallagher, which we'll talk about once we are done reviewing this show. But overall, I thought it was a fun opener, and it left me with more to think about. Speaking of which, this episode, for the most part, was just a lot to think about. But before we get into our next match, Oney Lorcan, talking about this close, still recovering from a little shot Drew Gulak did to his Adam's apple. What was your thoughts on this little hype promo, if you can call it that, from Oney Lorcan? Looks like he still hasn't fully recovered at this point.
Well, I mean, at least he was selling. Like I said, I had my complaints with him before about, like I said, when he had the takeover match and the four tag team ladder match, how he came back like not even 2 or 3 days later, and he had he wasn't really selling his injury. So at least at this point in the storytelling, he was selling it. He had gotten hit with Adam's apple. He was selling the fact that he was still recovering from it. So that I was really happy with. That was my only big complaint about Lorcan, is that sometimes he has the issues. He forgets that he's selling stuff. Like I said, you can't be in a ladder match and then 3 days later act like you're Superman. You're not Cena. You don't act like that. You don't have to act like that. You can act human and act like you're not, you don't have to act like you're Superman all the time. So, but I was kind of glad that he sold the injury a little bit, So, I mean, that point I was like, okay, you're telling everybody you got hurt, but you want payback. You want to go after that title. So that was a good thing.
Yeah. And following this, we get into our second match, which apparently was Mr. House Party versus Arya Davari and the Singh brothers. There's the first time I've seen those three together. But it was not all of Lucha House Party, because as we
Nope.
learned, Grand Metalik mysteriously taken out. But who was the person there with him at the time he was taken out? Humberto Carrillo. And then the Lucha House Party remain members, Kalisto and Lince Dorado, who is at the heart of all this, in my opinion. He is found there, and he's just shouting, hey, that's my friend, that's my friend. But apparently, Drake Maverick's like, okay, he's not medically cleared, he can't compete. You're just going to have to tell Humberto Carrillo. You are going to have to figure it out. You guys are in a match tonight. And then, of course, we get Nigel McGuinness talking about, wait, what's all this talk about, who did what? And I like how Nigel McGuinness actually tied the idea of the storyline on the main roster with this storyline, because it's now a storyline of who done it. We don't even know who done it against Roman Reigns, but allegedly we'll learn that next week. And I'm curious to see where that goes. But at least Buddy Murphy's been showcased. Talk more about that later. But I'm curious, though. There are so many things running through my mind right now about this. You got so many elements. You got Lince Dorado, who I think is envious of Humberto Carrillo, because I think Humberto Carrillo has been getting the better accolade, the better showing, the better overall momentum on 205 Live, and then he's also a young gun to the new style. While Lince Dorado, he's old school. He's already been confronted about this by Arya Davari. He and Grand Metalik, they're family, but I don't know. I mean, after last week, are they on the same page? Is Lucha House Party on the verge of breaking? There's a lot of different ways the story could go. And I felt like we got a little more of an idea of that, but also just more confusion as this match progressed. Because, again, this was Lucha Libre at its finest. And we had some moments where Humberto Carrillo and Lince Dorado were seemingly on the same page, but also a game of one-upsmanship, it seemed. Especially the point when Lince Dorado, he got tagged, and when he went to go tag in another member of his team, he looked at Humberto Carrillo, but had Kalisto. Then Humberto trying to get a blind tag, and apparently ref didn't see it. It felt weird, but this match was fun overall, I thought. I mean, Lince controlled the beginning portion after Carrillo controlled the beginning portion. Again, a game of anything you can do, I can do better. Kalisto, he gets tagged in. Singh Brothers get control after Kalisto goes for some Phoenix-type maneuvers through the ropes. Failed. Ended up landing spine first on the top rope and a nasty landing on the ring. Singh Brothers maintain most control, much to Nigel McGuinness's delight. Go figure. But then the match really picked up when Carrillo got a hot tag, and Arya Davari was fixing to leave. We get some stereo aerial offense after Arya and Lince kind of looked at each other, face-to-face confrontation. Like, come on. But then we get a missile drop kick combination into, I thought he was going for his Aztec crash. It was some sort of other air maneuver, Humberto Carrillo in the end. But before Humberto Carrillo could get the win, as he was going for his top rope finisher, that Singh brother just suffered. Lince gets a blind tag in, and then while Humberto is covered for the pin, seemingly not even wasting any time, Lince just goes for shooting star press. Carrillo moves out of the way, and won also, but Lince is the one to pick up the win for his team. 1, 2, 3. So there's many ways this goes, not only with just the idea of Lince is better than Carrillo. Maybe Arya Davari has gone in Lince's head. Maybe Lince is right about, if I was in that tag match, you all wouldn't have lost 2 weeks ago. So, great match, interesting storytelling, interesting cliffhanger. Chris, your takeaways from this match and the entire picture of Lucha House Party and Humberto Carrillo and Arya Davari.
It's an interesting storyline right now because you don't know who attacked Grand Metalik. It could have been Davari trying to cause dissension. It could have been Dorado himself maybe taking Davari's advice and trying to set it up. But it made it seem interesting because you had Humberto who found him. I said, could it have possibly been Humberto? Maybe they had an altercation. They leave it in so many different scenarios right now what they could do with this story. The match itself was a pretty good match. It's that you could tell the story they were telling. Dorado wasn't really happy with Humberto. Humberto was trying, but Dorado seemed like, I don't need your help, blah, blah, blah. You could just tell the dissensions there. I think it would have been more interesting had it been where they had some dissension and ended up the Singh brothers and Davari picking up the win. I think that would have built more into the story because you could have told the story more of them having more dissension. With Lucha House Party, because Kalisto could have been in the middle, like, hey, we're Lucha, man, we appreciate this Lucha style here, let's not do this, blah, blah, blah. And I think it could have told a little bit different of a story. But however, with them picking up the win, it's still, you can see how Dorado's just like, oh, yeah, hurry up, Roberto. And then, raising his hand. You can just tell because they have unfinished business after what happened the week before with that double count-out bullcrap that happened.
Exactly.
They have unfinished business. Do I see Dorado turning heel? Possible. It's possible. I could see him maybe breaking up the Lucha House Party finally, and then him turning heel, listening to that devil on his shoulder with Davari going, "No, you could be the single breakout star." And maybe he could be. Maybe if they break up, maybe he could be the one. Because we've already seen Kalisto be the Cruiserweight champion already. We don't need to see that again. Like I
And
said,
you got to
Dorado
remember
has
the
never.
House Party has had a chance
Yeah,
at the Cruiserweight title, so you
yeah.
definitely see some compelling points there. Plus, R.I. Davari was not involved in the finish. He left
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
after
because he got
confronting,
mad.
let's say, Dorado. So
Mm-hmm.
again, there's more to figure about. I honestly feel like the one thing we can say here, Kalisto has no idea how to interpret this, and I feel
Yep.
Alberto Carrillo did not attack Grand Metalik.
No.
Leave it at that. What do y'all think, folks? Leave us in a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this storyline. A story being told a little more out than outside the ring. Go figure. Following this, though, we go into a promo for the other half of our main event from the champ himself that I got to meet. Awesome guy. Drew Gulak. Key word here, folks. Change. Change is inevitable. I asked for new, stronger, stiffer competition, yet I'm haunted by my past. Ghosts, like Tony Nese, like Isaiah Scott Swerve, and like Oni Lorcan. But is anyone willing to go what I'm willing to do? The constant, though, here is change, and I am the law. Damn dark, simple promo,
Mm-hmm.
stepping on basically what he's saying. You want to become Cruiserweight champion? You got to step up to me and step even more than me. I have evolved. Can you? I want new, more stiff competition. And does only think he's up for the task again? We'll see. And then we go into our main event, but not before we hear from Tony Nese. This is interesting. Not Instagram post, not cryptic, just straight up. I need to start from scratch. I've
Mm-hmm.
lost. I need to reflect. I need to learn from my past, though. I need to not forget it, but I am going to do whatever it takes to get the title back. Are we potentially seeing a reinvented Tony Nese? More than just the abs, more than just about the brand. Is he also going to go the Gulak way and go in it truly for himself? And if so, how? He already does about everything you can think of in the ring. Chris, what are your thoughts on Tony Nese, and what could you possibly, in your mind, what do you expect him to do to come back?
I think he's going to have to, if you're going to tell a story here, I think he's going to have to do what Gulak did and go back and go into a dark place in his mind and try to reinvent himself and do something different. He's going to have to go start from scratch and come up with different ideas, a different game plan. And I thought he was doing something different when he changed his finish from the running knee to the finish he was doing. I thought that was something different he do. He was elevating himself, but it's not giving him wins. He hasn't been able to regain the Cruiserweight title. Like I said, I pitched for that 30-minute Iron Man match at SummerSlam we didn't get, but yeah, I'll digress on that. But
done yet.
yeah, so I think at this point, Dave, he might have to go back to the well. Maybe he does the Gulag route. Maybe he goes to NXT for a little bit, has some couple matches here and there, does some, goes and reinvents himself, come back as a different character, a little bit of a different character, gets a little dark side, gets a little edge to him, and goes after Gulak and says, you know what, I just did what you did now. I went to my dark place. Now let's do this again, and let's see who wins this time.
Yeah. We have an interesting thought there. I'm just really curious. What does that mean? New Titantron, new entrance theme, new in-ring style, new approach to offense? Is he going to go into a partnership with somebody? Are we going to get some sort of repackaging? Is it going to attack somebody from behind like Drew Gulak did with Noam Dar, who has not been on 205 since? It's very curious to think about. Keep in mind, folks, on NoDQ.com, videos are uploaded at 360p. We apologize for any blurriness. Anyway, hey, I feel like that should be a disclaimer on all NoDQ videos uploaded from other channels. Just saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll see what happens with Tony Nese. Look at me, I missed a disclaimer. Simple as that. New shirt. So yeah, following that, we go right into our main event. This is, by the way, not brought to you by Skittles. I don't care much for Skittles. Starbursts are better. So are M&Ms. Mic drop. Anyway, so they talk about Clash Champions beforehand, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, though, we get into our main event. Why did I not see this match at SummerSlam? This is what I was expecting based on what I've seen from Beyond Wrestling and CCW. Damn, what a match! Chris Mace, your thoughts on this Cruiserweight Championship match versus SummerSlam?
Oh, this is 1,000 times fucking better. I'll tell you that right now. Just first off, we didn't have any lag in this. Second off, it was an incredible match. This is the match that I was expecting to see. Them hard style, smash mouth in your face. And Gulak, like I said, at the end, Gulak retained, and it still made Lorcan look strong because he did not tap out. He passed out to the pain. That is great storytelling there, because then Lorcan has the right to complain later on. He never tapped me out. I didn't tap out. He paid me pass out. I didn't tap out. He's got a rightful thing to say. He didn't beat me. He did not make me say I quit. And maybe they set up one more match with them, make it an I quit match.
Interesting, considering we haven't had an I Quit match in this brand since the I Forfeit match back in the previous incarnation of 205 Live. But yeah, this match was everything I was hoping to see at SummerSlam and more. Only Lorcan, ball of hellfire, hot start. He just goes after Drew Gulak, but this time he gets off not only as half and half suplex, awkward landing though. That could have been really, really bad. Looks like he landed on his shoulder first, and then that yeesh. Drew Gulak didn't know where the hell he was for a moment. And then some sort of weird senton off the top rope. Then Lorcan basically with the right hip basically to the apron. And then we get Gulak finally getting his bearings together after dropping Only Lorcan off from the top, and he lands right on the apron, right hip on the apron first. Excuse me, folks. I'm very excited. And then Drew Gulak, he gains his bearings, and he goes straight on the attack, starting with, of course, this real drives friggin' Only Lorcan into the announce table. Ouch. And then in the apron, only gasping for breath. We nearly got a count out here, 9 count. And then we just get a strikes and strikes and strikes, the hanging net breaker, submission hold, more apron spots. And then we get one of my favorite staples from him, jumping clothesline, pinfall after pinfall attempt, basically maintaining control. But only Lorcan, he regains control later on and goes on his, what's he known as, the Fury of 205 Live, a fury of offense. First with the uppercut, then a blockbuster, cover, not enough, then a clothesline, cover, not enough, not landing up. We get 2 running short tackles, but the third one, Gulak is smart enough to get out of the way. We get an awkward power slam where Oni's feet get a caught on the ropes. Still nice, not really a near fall. We get a jockeying for finishes basically between Chaos Crash, Net Breaker, and the half and half. Counter for counter. Gulak wipes out Only Lorcan with a wicked clothesline, turns him inside out 360, sideways. And then we get both men at the top. Only regains the momentum. And then we get a wicked half and half off the top rope. But this goes to the credit of Drew Gulak and his in-ring ingenuity, as he gathers himself enough to roll himself close enough to the bottom. Only did not cover and grab the outside leg. 2 and Sun Apes. Gulak gets his foot on the rope, only devastated. He yells, goes in a fury, drops Gulak across barricade, then the barricade here, then announce table. Then we get inside cradle roll from Gulak. Nice little spot here, not enough. And then we get, of course, a playback to SummerSlam where Gulak's down, only has him, and he's just chopping him away. Nothing special here. Gulak, he stops that. Then we get the open beard grab and chops. And then he goes after Gulak's throat with a spin around strike, nearly getting a win there with a nice near fall. But then again, we get to the finish and roll through off the corner into the Gulak. And as you said, you saw how much the neck was stretched. You saw the broad artery, the vein popping out. He did not tap, only passed out. Just enough for Gulak to be declared the winner. The pain was too much. That was the finish I was expecting at SummerSlam. That was the match I was expecting to see. And apparently these two men are not done with each other, as we found out they got into an altercation backstage, and 205 Live is now bringing us a renovated version of a traditional Survivor Series match almost. Though we don't know if it's elimination, we don't know if the camera's going to be involved, we don't know how this is going to be played out, but it's basically going to be a Captain's Challenge match. Who knows what that could be like? Is it going to be gauntlet one-on-one from each team? Is it going to be a straight-up crazy 10-man tag that could take the whole night? Is it going to be a combination of sorts to see what team gets the more points, and maybe if Oni's team gets more points, he gets another match of the title? There's so many different ways it can go. I'm very curious how this can go. So I'm very excited towards another first in 205 Live. Treating their show once in a while like specials and really reinventing the idea of gimmicks you see wasted, watered out, overkilled on main rosters, and even pay-per-views of the same name. Mm-hmm. But overall, I enjoyed this week's episode of 205 Live, so let's go ahead and grade it as we always do. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, because of the action, the storytelling, the limited roster, but how much it showcased, and just the capabilities what we see in this brand, we always grade by show, not just by main event. So I thought it was a pretty decent show, a very nice fit. We got some compelling stories, compelling cliffhangers, nice exclusives, nice action overall, and a lot to think about. This was definitely a 4 1/4 show for me. Chris, what was your thoughts on this week's episode of 205 Live and the Captain's Choice match coming next week?
I'm going to actually go higher than you. I'm going to go 4.5. I think that the first match told a great story because you can recall back to history with Brian Kendrick and the Gentleman, and then you had Tozawa, and then you had the controversy with how he got the win with Brian Kendrick getting, as we supposedly said, overexcited, hitting his hands on the ropes, which made the Gentleman's foot fall off when they did the 3 count.
Yep.
The second match told the story too. Like I said, you had Grand Metalik who was taken out. You have all that story going on right now. Who did that? And you could see the dissension between Humberto and Dorado. So I said that's going to still be an interesting story to tell. We don't have a conclusion in that match yet. And the main event, if I would say, so the SummerSlam match was a 3. That match itself should have easily been a 4.75 to me. 4 1/4. They told a great story. This is the match I wanted to see at SummerSlam. The finish was the best finish they could have done in that match to me. Having him pass out, because you're building Lorcan as a badass and being the tough guy in the 205 Live brand and being the badass, you don't want to have him just getting beat by Gulak. And now Gulak has beat him in the past back in independent promotions. I watched some of those matches you had shared, and those are some damn good matches too. But this was the best way to do this so you could continue the story telling here. And so for that, like I said, I would give a show a 4.5. But that main event, I would have gave it 4 3/4 easily. It was by almost the perfect match to me.
Yeah, I was and the crowd got into it too. It looks like this Toronto crowd, you definitely could tell more of an international flavor because it was definitely more full than we've seen in recent weeks. And overall, yeah, great episode. And now we got an idea of what to expect next week. So before we get into little stances, let's just go ahead and talk about this real quick. Basically, what happened right after the show, via W exclusive, only we're going to talk about, he's not done yet. And like we said, he didn't tap out, he passed out. But who's there to congratulate Drew Gulak? Arya Daivari. But then only Lorcan and Gulak, they get into an altercation almost come to blows, it seems, until Arya and Drake Maverick and Jack Gallagher come in and basically defuse the situation. Drake Maverick says, both of you, get out of here. So Drake Maverick sets up this Captain's Challenge match where both Drew Gulak and Only Lorcan will pick 4 members, respectively, for their teams to battle out. And we don't know how yet. And so far, interesting team setups. We have on Team Oni, Jack Gallagher, and, get this, Akira Tozawa. And on Drew Gulak's team, we have Arya Daivari and Mike Kanellis. I almost feel like this is going to be a match of heels versus faces. I feel like that's pretty obvious. But I'm very curious to think about who the last 2 can be. Is it going to be Lady Tag Team? Is it going to be the Sings? And is it going to be Lucha House Party? Because you think about 205 Live, they're almost using everybody on here. Or are we going to get some sort of surprise review / debut? Is Tony Nese even going to be involved in this? Or is he literally going away to reinvent himself? So looking at both of these teams right now, I sense there could be a bit of dissension between Jack Gallagher and Akira Tozawa. Because I'm pretty darn sure the Grand Killer would not be far behind. And they're probably going to talk about that match too. It's probably going to start mutual and respectively. But I could see Akira and Jack going to blows against each other. And even though we have major egos on Drew Gulak's team, I feel like it could probably be the better sought up team with a common purpose, proven who are better men of 205 Live. And under Drew Gulak as leader, who knows what these two could be capable of. And I'm really curious now who they're going to add. I'm sure we're going to find out more as the weekend progresses, because obviously we're going to find out who they are before probably.
Yeah.
So, Chris, let me ask you, which team looks stronger right now, and who do you see being added in this match on either team?
I would find it interesting. Like I keep saying, Gulak keeps saying he's dealing with people from his past. Why not do something interesting? Let's throw everybody a curveball. Why don't you bring Swerve back in there and add him to Team Lorcan? And why don't you bring Kushida in and add him to Team Lorcan? There you go. There's two guys right there you can bring back from Drew Gulak's past. Lorcan can use strategy there use his brain instead of his brawn, like you said, and he could bring strategy and bring those two in. Gulak keeps worrying about the past, my shadows of my past. That's all he keeps talking about. Well, you had a hard-fought match with Swerve. Yeah, you got the win, but he took you to the limit. And you've still got Kushida there in NXT that beat you twice. And I'm still wondering when or if they're going to bring him up and to finish that story, because that story has not concluded yet.
Very interesting points. But to go off your points, I'm looking at their actual Twitter's notes here. Only Lorcan said, and I quote, and I'm not Michael Cole, thank God, the first person I choose to have on my team is Gemma Jack Gallagher, because he was the first person to have my back after 205 Live on Tuesday, because he has a mustache and he knows karate. In all caps. I love Only Lorcan on Twitter. Drew Gulak, the first man to congratulate me after I forced Only Lorcan to pass out on 205 Live this week was Arya Daivari. And as my first pick, he can't wait to kick Mr. Lorcan's ass next week in the Captain's Challenge match. And we all know what sort of history Oni and Arya have from that Anything Goes match. So, jeez. And as far as the second picks go, second pick for my team is Akira Tozawa, because he's as nuts as me, and he can bench 225 for 10, no problem. Damn. That explains the deadlifts. And Drew Gulak, my second pick for the Captain's Challenge, is better and more capable Boston-based wrestler, ouch, than Only Lorcan's ever been, Mike Bennett. I know you appreciate the opportunity to join my team. So right now, that's all we got up to this point. So who knows who else is going to be added to this. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Singh Brothers finish out Drew Gulak's team. And as far as Only Lorcan's team, Kalisto and Humberto Carrillo. And then that will further drive that Lindsay Dorado storyline, wondering, hey, why wasn't I picked for this? Okay, you're okay working with this guy? You should have said no because you're not working with me. Again, I see a lot of compelling stories coming out of this match, and I'm curious how it's going to play out. So, folks, if you haven't picked a side already, pick a side. You team Oni or you team Gulak? Who do you see being added? What do you see coming out of it? Let us know in the comments down below. That's all I got to say about that. Very curious how this goes next week. But with that, let's go ahead and talk about some simple stances. So there's been a lot going on lately as far as Cruiserweight talk goes and Cruiserweight usage. So let's kick off with what we've seen this week and what's coming up. We're actually going to go on the main roster because Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy are finally being showcased to a good extent. Not only are they both in compelling storylines right now with Cedric Alexander and Drew McIntyre, and Buddy Murphy being thrown into what is some calling a WWE match of the year, keyword WWE, that's just like main roster, folks, okay? With Roman Reigns, because he hung with the big dog, and that gave us a real compelling match, despite Aaron not giving it a near falls. I hope this isn't one-offs. I really hope for more on this. But, Chris, I'm curious about who do you see them better using here, and who has really better been showcased so far? Buddy Murphy or Cedric Alexander? Who has impressed you more? Who's been better booked?
Cedric Alexander got better booked because of the fact he's been on TV a whole lot more than, like I said, I didn't like the fact he was chasing for a 24/7 title. I liked the way how they did the first match with him and Drew McIntyre, where he did the same kind of scenario from after Super Brawl with Rey Mysterio and Kevin Nash kind of scenario where he got the upset win over Drew McIntyre. I love the match they had on Monday Night Raw because they had a great competitive match. I mean, he hit the lumbar check on Drew McIntyre on the outside of the ring. Nobody would have thought he'd be able to hit his finish. I wish it had been in the ring. It would have been a great 3 count or it would have been a great near fall. But he hit it on the outside of the ring. He held his own with Drew McIntyre. That's a big old boy. He held his own. And then you got to SmackDown. You had Buddy Murphy and the big dog Roman Reigns, and they had an incredible match.
That was my favorite match.
They had such an incredible match, and Buddy Murphy showed everybody why he is that damn good. When he gets the opportunity to showcase his talent, look what he did against Roman Reigns, a 4-time world champion. Look what he did. You're telling me he can't rise to the occasion and be a world champion? I don't think so. That man could one day possibly be a world champion. Look at the match here. Hopefully that's the start of something big for Buddy Murphy. They just don't put him back in catering here next week. Hopefully they don't do that.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear with this whodunit story because he literally just was found thrown in the middle of this. He wasn't originally planned, just like Cedric Alexander wasn't originally planned to be that janitor spot. It's like, oh, out of nowhere, just a violent intervention. We're gonna let this happen. And look at what happened. You had a huge match with Roman Reigns to the point the crowd bought into Buddy Murphy, and they were into the match. This was one of the best matches I've seen all year on SmackDown Live. And Cedric Alexander going up against Drew McIntyre, who you guys have treated as a jabroni, basically giving us a candidate for why Drew should be a champ and why Cedric Alexander can also hang with the top guys. Folks, you got hidden stars here. Make something happen. That's all I have to say about that. And I'm curious to see how both men do in the King of the Ring. As you said, we've had cruiserweights from past and present being showcased here to the fullest extent. So I'm very curious what they're going to do next with both Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, especially after King of the Ring. I hope they weren't just bodies thrown in. So,
and then you got Ali as well, and you also have Chad Gable, which is kind of surprising because he just went to 205 Live and say only had the 2 matches with the gentleman. Both he won, though, so that's kind of interesting, I thought. So you got 4 people from past and present from 205 Live. Is it a time to pull a trigger and actually put somebody that was a mainstay on 205 Live or an up-and-comer on 205 Live with Chad Gable just joining the brand and make them King of the Ring? This is a great opportunity to showcase these 4 men where they came from 205 Live. And also is a great showcase for Chad Gable because he is so underrated. He is a wrestling machine. He is like the second coming of Kurt Angle, if you really think about it, how talented he is. And if he's given the opportunity, he can go far in this business as a single star. And I think that's why I have my pick right now. I'll go on a limb right now. I'm thinking Chad Gable is going to win King of the Ring. That's what I'm going with right now.
Really?
Yep,
wow,
I'm going with Chad Gable.
Right out there, I just dropped the mic. I screwed the bracket, screwed everybody else. I think Chad Gable's going to be King of the Ring. All right, well, stay tuned, folks. I'll have a bracketology video with good brother Chris on Sunday about my bracket, my pick, and his pick as well. I'm sure we're going to be very different. I'm already different from you. Hashtag spoiler free. But I will say this. I met Chad Gable live at the SummerSlam meet and greet, and he said, and I quote, 205 Live is some of the best fun he's had in a very long time, if not his whole life. So to go to your credit, indeed, and that's the beauty of 205 Live. It's not only compelling wrestling and interesting stories at times, it's great action in the ring, and it really revitalizes someone that's just been lost in the shuffle. I mean, Shelton Benjamin, too bad he's over 205. We don't know what he's doing besides smiling, and I don't expect him going past round 1, just saying. Actually, now that I think about it, Chad Gable could actually be on that team only, but that's next week. I'm hoping more for Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander. I hope that once they're done with Drew and once they're done with the King of the Ring, that they don't just fall back and get lost in the shovel. Both these men could own a mid-card title, and I'm still waiting to see Ricochet versus Cedric Alexander. That could be a match of the year right there. And Buddy Murphy, again, brought it to the big dog. I mean, this guy could go with anybody. I still think it should have been Buddy Murphy versus Aleister Black at some point, and now that just makes me want to further and further see it. Hell, give Shelton Benjamin something to do. Put Buddy Murphy versus Shelton Benjamin. He's not doing anything. Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander can elevate what you have in your mid-card, which is little to not. because you're not doing anything with the IC title or the United States title of relevancy. Yeah, Braun Strowman versus AJ Styles, like he's really going to win it. But I digress. All right. So yeah, that's just my opening stance for the night. Cedric and Buddy, how they doing? Where could they be going? What's on your mind tonight to talk on simple stances?
Well, like I said, I got two really, but the first thing we already started talking about it was the King of the Ring. How do you think it will help elevate the four men I was speaking about earlier with Cedric Alexander, Ali, Buddy Murphy, and Chad Gable? Do you think this King of the Ring tournament will help elevate them and push them further, or do you think this is going to be a hindrance and end up hurting them in the end? I have two tonight, so that's my first one.
Hey, I like it. I mean, hey, you're also, because again, 205 Live main roster, they do collide, and maybe they should, just need to be better represented and respected. So here's my thoughts on that, as you discussed. Basically, my thoughts is this. So we got Ali, Chad Gable, Cedric Alexander, and Buddy Murphy. They're all in. We're already going to see one of the top matches from 205 Live on SmackDown Live in our opening. Ali versus Buddy Murphy. If they treat that match like they did in 205 Live without the stipulation, this potentially could show you right here why Ali and Buddy Murphy should be more highly regarded. Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin, they were American Alpha 2.0. I think they were former tag champs at one point. But Shelton Benjamin's doing nothing but giving you an awkward smile. Chad Gable's got more potential, in my opinion. No offense to the veteran. But Mia Yim's doing better than Shelton Benjamin. And that's not saying much considering Mia Yim's in NXT. Then again, maybe it is. But I feel like Chad Gable can go over more here. And then you got the potential of the Chad Gable versus Buddy Murphy or Chad Gable versus Ali. It's all going to come down to how far these men go in this King of the Ring tournament and how well their matches are broadcast on main roster TV. They're going to have to deal with the fact you're going to be wrestling through commercial breaks, you're going to be wrestling on limited time, and Vince McMahon doesn't know a damn thing about you. That's the biggest thing. You got to convince Vince because he's the biggest idiot in the company. The audience is going to figure you out if you give them compelling action. Not just spots, but let them believe he could actually win this. Oh my gosh, he kicked out of this. Ali has already given that moment when he faced Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan back at Fastlane. The crowd immediately turned. It was boo initially, and then they got behind Ali as the match progressed. Ali, in my opinion, was supposed to be the Kofi Kingston that we have now. Sad to say, but true. So, to answer your question, my biggest concern out of these four is Cedric Alexander. If Cedric Alexander loses out in the first round, I think he's done. Because he's already had the big match with Drew McIntyre. That was his first big feud. He needs to capitalize off that now, though. So you need to make him look strong in this King of the Ring tournament. If he loses to Sami Zayn, I think he's pretty much going to be relegated to EC3 territory almost. Now, as far as Ali, I feel like he's more safe here because Vince McMahon already tried to do something with him. He got injured, and he's also been used the most on television, despite all these promos lately. Buddy Murphy has finally got his foot in the door, and he went against the top guy in the company, Vince's guy, Roman Reigns. I feel like he and Ali are in a safer spot, especially with the two facing up against each other. They have incredible chemistry, so they're going to bring you a great match, which leaves Chad Gable, the odd one out. So, to answer your question, I see this elevating at least three of the four men, maybe all four, but my biggest concern right now is Cedric Alexander on a roster of giants. If he's not showcased here strongly against some of these bigger men like, I don't know, Drew Cesaro versus Cedric Alexander again, do it right. Do Cedric Alexander versus Drew McIntyre. Do Cedric Alexander versus freaking Baron Corbin. Make people love Cedric. Let them show how much Cedric can hang with someone that's slow but powerful and is always underestimating the little guy. You gotta make these guys look strong. That's all I have to say. So my biggest concern right now is Cedric Alexander. But I feel like it's going to elevate no matter what the other three guys. Because not only are they on the more wrestling-focused show, people know them. So that's my thoughts on that. What are your thoughts?
I think this is going to be interesting with Ali and Murphy being in the first round and them facing each other. This is going to be interesting. This could either go two ways. It's either going to be Ali could get the push get the push that he lost because he got injured because of Randy Orton? Or is this a showcase of how well Buddy Murphy did with Roman Reigns? Will they pull that trigger and say, all right, we're going to push Buddy Murphy here and let's see what he does in the King of the Ring? I think this would be a good step for Buddy Murphy right here, especially with Ali. I don't think this would hurt Ali losing because he could still be in contention for the Intercontinental Championship right now. He could have some relevance to. He has something where Buddy Murphy he had a great show on Roman Reigns. Now I think it's time for him to more capitalize. Chad Gable, like I said, this is a great opportunity for him to showcase him as a single star and show what he's truly made of. Cedric Alexander's kind of what I'm worried about, but I'm kind of intrigued because if I was looking at it, and you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong because you're looking at the bracket, but the only way McIntyre and Cedric would meet is they met in their final match on the Raw one, right?
That
the
is
semifinals.
That is
so
correct.
I'm kind of hoping to see them have one more match in the semifinals before we get to the finals, because the way I understood it, and you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but the finals is going to be the winner of the Raw part and the winner of SmackDown facing in the finals.
That is correct.
So
keep in mind, King of the Ring is usually won by a heel, and there hasn't been a real person to put this into momentum to elevate themselves since King Booker. I mean, look what Wade Barrett did. Nothing.
Look what Sheamus did. Nothing.
Yeah, they wore a robe and a weird hat because, of course, they went beyond the traditional thing. And again, I'm going to talk a lot more about this in simple detail when I do my bracketology video later this weekend. Stay tuned for that, folks. Me and good brother Chris. But yeah, right now I feel like the person at the biggest risk of being, I think, relegated to irrelevancy is Cedric Alexander. Second to that would be Buddy Murphy, because again, Ali, he has the IC title. Chad Gable, he has 205 Live, and technically he's doing more than Shelton Benjamin, even if he's just riding at times on a clipboard. Buddy Murphy was just thrown into this whodunit story, and once it blows by, if he's not shown strong here, he's probably going to fall to irrelevancy. Instead of Alexander, well, we've already seen his lowest point. He's been involved in the 20% picture since the get-go. And that's something else. None of these other three men that we discussed have been involved in the 20% picture at all. So let us know what you think down in the comments below, folks. So interesting, simple stance. What else is on your mind?
So let's talk about this, though. I was actually listening to this, and it got me thinking, because I always listen to something to wrestle with, and 83 weeks later, and What Happened When, so Tony Schiavone. And it got me thinking. I was watching Starrcade 96 from 83 weeks, and he talked about how he never got the rematch with Jushin Thunder Liger and Rey Mysterio.
Right.
With Jushin Thunder Liger coming on his retirement tour and Rey Mysterio getting to the closer end of his career, could you see the possibility with them maybe setting that up one last time to get that big matchup? Because we didn't get it because we were supposed to got it, I think, was it last year or earlier this year? We were supposed to have got it, and then Rey Mysterio ended up getting injured and couldn't do it.
I think it was earlier this year, actually.
And then Rey Mysterio got hurt, and he wasn't able to compete in that match when they were going to finally do the rematch. Could you see WWE reaching out to him to try to maybe pull that match off? Because of the fact, you think about it, they brought Jushin Thunder Liger to NXT. That man has had such a great career, in New Japan, all over the world. He was the WCW Light Heavyweight Champion back in the early 90s. He's still wrestling in 2019. Think about that. That is longevity in a wrestling business that does not seem like it has longevity as much as it used to.
Yep.
So I would add my simple stance would be like, could you see the possibility of them bringing Jushin Thunder Liger and letting him have that one big moment at maybe Survivor Series, hell, even at a WrestleMania, even if he decides he wants to retire from Wrestle Kingdom or when he's planning to retire early next year, could you see him bringing him maybe for that one big match, that rematch with Rey Mysterio Jr.? That would be the best. I would think that'd be the best option to showcase him at a big stage for giving him that one big of match.
First off, nothing but tremendous respect for Jushin Thunder Liger. I know he's currently hosting the Super J Cup, and stay tuned, folks. I'll be doing a simple bracketology video as well with good brother Chris on that also this weekend. Busy weekend ahead. It'll be Sunday. But anyway, going to your civil stance, the thing is this. We have not seen Jushin Thunder Liger involved with anything WWE since NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. And that was against Tyler Breeze. It was a very fun opening match. I would love to see for their final matches. Jushin Thunder Liger versus Rey Mysterio, two legends that have developed themselves across multiple industries that have made their primary industry their own. WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's clear to see that WWE wants to invade Japan with an NXT brand of its own. That's why WWE is looking to buy some sort of Japanese promotion. No idea what the name is. And Jushin Thunder Liger is on his retirement tour, putting on as many matches as possible. And I think he's done it for Wrestle Kingdom. So do I see WWE doing it? No. Do I want to see it done? Yes. Honestly, if anybody could make it happen, because I know Rey Mysterio said, and I'm going to break something here and cause some commotion, Rey Mysterio said he would go to AEW in a heartbeat. And knowing AEW says they're only going to do right now 4 big pay-per-views a year, if they can somehow make Rey Mysterio versus Jushin Thunder Liger happen, I feel like they're the biggest culprits to make that happen. And the most realistic possibility for that to happen would be their last pay-per-view of this year, before Wrestle Kingdom, before the new year of WWE pay-per-views happen, because I don't see them doing this for next year's WrestleMania. And we already see Rey Mysterio talking about he's at the end of his rope, he feels. He's got provided for his family. He can't pull off the wins because we're developing this storyline, almost like a midlife crisis storyline, on Monday Night Raw. Yes, folks, I do keep up with the main roster to an extent. Support, no DQ. But yes, to answer your question, yes, I want that match to happen. It needs to happen. If it doesn't happen in WWE, if it doesn't happen in Era Lucha, which I still don't know how to watch and don't know if that ever got off the ground, then I would truly believe that if one company can make it happen, it's AEW. And what a way to close 2 incredible careers at once. And you don't need to pass off a match. You don't need to pass off to the next protege, although I'm sure WWE would try and work some sort of angle like that. It just be 2 men that have respected the Lucha Libre style and Cruiserweight wrestling for so long that truly capitalize on a dream match for the ages that we know both are capable of doing. So yes, I believe it should happen, but I don't think WWE will be the ones to do it. I don't think they can do it. I would more rather believe in AEW pulling it off than WWE. Simple as that. All right, what about you?
I think the likelihood of it happening is probably slim to none. Yeah. But my idea would be, if you were able to bring him in, I would do it after Wrestle Kingdom. I would try to bring him in on the grand stage of all. He's done so much in his career. He's a name that's recognized around the world. He had such incredible matches in WCW history. You know, you've been able to bring back all these legends. You could tell the story of Rey Mysterio, where he's down, he's defeated right now. And you could play this out if you wanted to. If he's going to stay through WrestleMania, you could play the storybook out, and then he starts getting wins slowly but surely. And then you have storytelling and stuff like that. And you tell the story that, you know, there's people that there's one guy he's never been able to beat. He's never been able to beat this man. He wants him to bring him in. And they tell the story. They can start at the Royal Rumble, teasing the idea, there's one man I never was able to beat. I want to end my career beating this man. And then he brings up the name Jushin Thunder Liger, because people remember they've only had the one match, Starrcade 96, and Jushin Thunder Liger beat him.
Correct.
They never got a rematch, and that was one of Eric Bischoff's regrets. He said he was never able to negotiate them to be able to get a rematch. Just everything going on, they never was able to get him to have a rematch. He said he could have had an incredible rematch. So, I mean, to me, I think the storytelling can be done if it's done correctly, but do I see them doing it? No, but I do like your idea of AEW, the possibility of AEW doing it, because I think with the connections with Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, who have been in Japan before, and Rey Mysterio did work at All In. Isn't that right? It is All In, right? Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm making sure, because I could go brain dead at some points. All In, like I said, he knows how their system works. It could be a very good possibility. If Rey Mysterio left, they finally would do that match and be an AEW. And I like your idea about that. That would be a big attraction match that AEW could pull off, and that could be something under their belt saying, well, here, W, you couldn't pull this off, but we were able to.
Yeah, and I do like your idea of Royal Rumble, though, because the only slim chance that we could get this at WrestleMania next year, because Wrestle Kingdom is literally before the Royal Rumble next year, is if Jushin Thunder Liger has his final match in New Japan Pro Wrestling and somehow he convinced him to do this one match, make this one appearance and do this one match. If somehow we get during the Royal Rumble a just face-to-face between Jushin Liger and Rey Mysterio, That would blow the roof off the place. And you're right. You would literally build to that match happening at WrestleMania. That would be Ray's last match and Jushin's last match. And Ray would pick up either his win or they would just fall off mutual respect. But again, I feel like AEW is more realistic for both men. But again, who knows? Let us know what you think in the comments down below, folks. It's a very curious spot. All right. So before we go into our next match, I've got to bring this up. You know I went to Toronto live, and I saw 3 wrestling shows. Ring of Honor Supercard, and stay tuned, folks. I'll do an audio simple take on that show, too, some point this weekend as well. Busy weekend for me. NXT TakeOver Toronto 2, NW SummerSlam. There was one other big takeaway I take away from my weekend. Johnny freaking wrestling. What the hell was that match regal? And in the end, Adam Cole, baby, he won. He held the title. Is this Johnny Gargano's swan song? Because you didn't see this on the network. Because I watched the entire thing live on the network. It went off with the freaking credits.
Yep.
Johnny Gargano was still down in the ring. Afterwards, live, we saw Candice LeRae come down, console her husband. Johnny Gargano and Candice, they stand in the middle of the ring for a moment, take it all in, standing ovation. Candice gives Johnny Gargano the ring. Johnny Gargano takes it all in. We say, thank you, Johnny. And then Johnny goes up to the ramp, meets his wife, and who comes out from behind? Not Tommaso Ciampa. William Regal, and they shake hands, and we see this overall ovation and embrace for Johnny Gargano. People are writing him off, as in, that's it. He's done. He's done everything he can with NXT. He's going to the main roster. He's been there before. But I've heard this before, and I have so mixed feelings about this. So I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to leave it to you. Johnny Gargano, 205 Live.
Well, I know what you're talking about because they showed the exclusive on WWE on YouTube on WWE after what happened. Like you saw live where Candice LeRae came down to the ring, then he walked up to the ramp with his wife, and you see William Regal there, and then he comes, shakes his hand, and they embrace and stuff. Like pretty much like William Regal just giving him a farewell, and that's something you really don't see William Regal ever really do.
Oh.
Do I think it's his swan song? That's still to be undecided because how many times we said Johnny Gargano, this is his swan song. He's back. It's kind of really hard to really put, is this it? Because I think the only unfinished business he really has is with Tommaso Ciampa, and with him being injured and not knowing for sure when, if he will come back yet, we don't know yet. Time will only tell with that. I hope he does. I still think there's unfinished business there too. So do I think he's going to leave? Maybe he's going to take a break for a little bit, be out of sight, out of mind. Would it amaze me if he showed up in 205 Live? Yeah, it would. I think it would be an amazing thing for him to show up at 205 Live. But my thing would be if he's not automatically in the title picture facing Drew Gulak and actually beating Drew Gulak, I don't want to see it right at the moment because, like I said, somebody of his caliber should I would think in storyline would automatically be challenging. And I don't think him and Drew Gulak have history either. So that whole storyline with Gulak foreshadowing people from his past, I'm not really sure if they have a history outside of WWE. I'm not really sure if they do in independence. That'd be something now I got to go look up now. They do have a history?
They do. I know for a fact they're actually in a faction together in Smash Wrestling.
Okay, so there you go. There's your answer, folks. So, see, I didn't know that. See, I've learned something new again today. He teaches me something new every week we do this show.
For independent wrestling, folks.
Yeah. So, okay, so they have a history then. So, it could be possible, and they do a storyline where Drew Gulak keeps doing that whole foreshadowing of my past. And then they actually end up bringing Gargano in, like, okay, here you go. And he beats Drew Gulak in a non-title match and sets himself up for a number one contendership. It could actually work that way, too. But the thing is, there's also other guys like Chad Gable who have not received a title shot yet. He's going to earn his way up there, too. I don't see him just not being out of the title picture. You have Roberto Carrillo, who's slow burning right now. You have that storyline with Lucha House Party. Does Dorado, get separated and actually build up some wins as a single star, and he finally get a title shot? It's just so hard to say right now what they're going to do. But Gargano, if he goes to the main roster, he's going to get lost in that shuffle. Like I said, I have no confidence in Raw or SmackDown right now. Like I said, 205 Live, I think that would be a great option. because he could work his way up there, win the Cruiserweight title, and then end up going to the main roster after a little while. Because I think that'd be maybe more his comfort zone. Because look what he's done in NXT. He's had an incredible run in NXT. He's won a few matches. He lost a few matches. He hasn't had that long of title reigns. He's, he is like the modern day. He's not a modern day version of Daniel Bryan, but he is like a Daniel Bryan in some ways, in some degrees, and that's what a lot of comparisons I hear about. So, I mean, for him to be on 205 Live, I think he'd be a big star and a great addition to 205 Live if they pull that trigger and do it.
Okay. So here's my thoughts. I remember y'all's great debate. Again, y'all came down to 3 words in my opinion. Stars and stories. 205 Live needs stars. One of the biggest stars in NXT is Johnny Gargano. He is Mr. NXT. He is Mr. TakeOver. And after the match Io Shirai and Candice have, Candice could be the one for the women. But my problem is this. 205 Live is just not given the appropriate amount of respect and presentation. And I feel like with Johnny Gargano, it would just still be a very slow burn. The problem is Johnny Gargano would not be able to showcase himself at his fullest capability like he does in NXT. He would be relegated to pre-shows and then just this hour where it seems like people are going to leave. How many people truly know Johnny Gargano? How many people truly respect him? How many people respect and truly know 205 Live? 205 Live matters, but so does Johnny Gargano. In my opinion, he's just so damn good. I feel like he actually could do something in the main roster and probably elevate a mid-card picture. As far as where I could see him go, it's got to be either Raw or SmackDown Live. He's just too damn good. The problem is they don't incorporate the 205 Live talent in the main roster. If I knew Johnny Gargano was going to work between, in my perfect world, SmackDown Live and 205 Live, absolutely. But you have to incorporate 205 Live somehow, SmackDown Live. And it just isn't the time slot or the time dedicated to do it. Because they did do it in the past at one point with the Cruiserweight division on SmackDown Live. But they're not going to do that now, and technically 205 Live is still owned, the Cruiserweight division is still owned by Raw, and they don't do a damn thing with it. The last thing they did was squash Lucha House Party against Lars Sullivan. He got injured. Okay, so what are you going to do with Johnny Gargano? Are you going to relegate him to the 24/7 title picture? If that happens, I'll never watch fucking Raw again. There, I said it. The bottom line is this. Johnny Gargano wants to stay in NXT. It's obvious. But it's clear he's done everything he can with it. So how do you reinvent yourself? I feel like you're right. The best approach right now is to literally take time away for a longer period and really reevaluate yourself. It's not like he can't wrestle and he can go on commentary. He can still wrestle, but what are you going to do with him? There's no Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic coming up. He's already gone after the North American Championship. He doesn't have a partner to go after the tag team titles. He doesn't have a main event story feud anymore. It's finally closed. And he already went after the NXT title, not once, but twice. And then in the third match, Adam Cole, baby, won definitively. What more can you do with him? I personally do not want to see Johnny Gargano relegated to 205 Live because 205 Live was born on Cruiserweights. Johnny Gargano is not a Cruiserweight. He is, in my opinion, worthy of being called a heavyweight. He's a main eventer. I honestly feel like you can do so much with Johnny Gargano on the main roster if done right. But maybe, just maybe, he could be the gateway for 205 Live to come back into Monday Night Raw if they were to put him as champion. Because clearly, they're not incorporating Drew Gulak in the main roster. And he had the most potential and capability since day one, and still does, to elevate the Cruiserweight division into the Raw. But again, the Cruiserweights don't exist on Monday Night Raw anymore. It's all about 24/7 or Shane McMahon. So, to answer my stance, simple as this. Johnny Gargano, 205 Live. My answer, based on current circumstances and my current take of Johnny Gargano, no. But let us know what you think down in the comments below, folks. I really am curious to see what Johnny Gargano is to everybody. Is he 205 Live? Is he a main eventer? Is he enhancement? Is he a mid-carder? What is Johnny Wrestling to you? If you don't know who he is, get out from underneath a fucking rock and watch some besides Raw and SmackDown Live. But I digress.
Or he has the option of going to the NXT UK brand.
I never thought about that, actually. Johnny
He has the
Gargano in
option to go.
NXT UK?
Look what Cassius is doing. He's over there. He's in the NXT UK. You could pull the trigger and put him in NXT UK for a little while. Maybe get him a match with a guy like Walter, or give him some good matches with Coffee. Still, if you're not ready to put him on the main brand and you don't think 205 Live's the best fit for him, send him to NXT UK. I mean, look, it's actually elevated Cassius Ono, and he had just one of the best matches I've seen him had since before he left Ring of Honor. And I just talked about that on the Tea Party. Gargano could get a second life, but Gargano could get a second life going to NXT UK. And new matchups, fresh matchups, and new interesting ideas for him. He could even go after the UK title and go up against Walter later down the road. You have other options too. You don't have to always say main roster 205. We have the NXT UK brand for a reason.
That is very true, even though it's an NXT UK Tea Party, and they do meet twice a year, though. You are absolutely right. I didn't think about that, but also, NXT UK doesn't really have a mid-card picture, so I guess really you could thrust them probably into like a tournament for the NXT UK Championship. I hate that they call it WWE UK Championship. That's annoying me. It's NXT UK. Respect the brand. Respect the black and gold. And the red and the white and the blue. Union Jack. I love that now. All that good stuff. Okay. Yeah, but that's curious, actually. You got me thinking now. I actually would love to see Johnny Gargano versus Tyler Bate. Jordan Devlin, there we go. Jordan Devlin versus Johnny Gargano. You want to prove that you're really worthy of the NXT UK title? Go after freaking Johnny Gargano. Dare you. And by the way, I almost forgot to answer your question, read on WWE.com, at the Evolve shows, which I guess matter to an extent, it will be Kushida versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. Again, because Drew Gulak went out on it. But this also goes into another stance of mine that I want to talk about, because Evolve seems to be getting more involved now, more showcased, more realized, and more speaked about by WWE. Does this mean Evolve's going to be on the WWE Network? Does this mean we're going to get more Evolve stars on the WWE Network? Look at our latest signings with NXT. Not just Santana Garrett, but the Evolve champion, and who Paul Heyman endorses the future, Austin Theory. Austin Theory is another prime candidate that I feel could do a lot in NXT. Maybe that could be like the breakout thing for Johnny Gargano. Maybe he and Austin Theory could start a feud, now that I think about it. If Austin Theory can put up matches like that on Evolve against Johnny Gargano on NXT, there's a main event waiting to happen right there. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into our final thing of the night. I think we covered a lot of compelling topics tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, love to hear your thoughts. Please let us know what you think below. Johnny Gargano, yes or no? So let's go ahead and go into our top 25 Cruiserweight matches as we continue on our way to episode 50. Hey. So as you all know who's been watching the series, we have been going down our list of the top 25 matches showcased by the 205 Live brand. And we have officially completed 25% of it. So here as we go again, continuing on with number 20. I'll go first because mine's pretty simple. There is no thinking here. Again, I'm in the Cruiserweight title single elimination tournament right now. So of course my next few picks are going to be from that. But this pick was pretty straightforward because it showcased how much heart this guy has, and even got Nigel McGuinness standing up. My next pick, Mustafa Ali versus Jack Gallagher from February 20th, 2018. This match was a match of resilience, endurance, and heart, and proved how far a man can go with only one arm after that Fujiwara armbar Jack Gallagher locked in. And again, somehow, some way, freaking Mustafa Ali pulled it out with one arm, the 054, standing ovation. The match went about 20 minutes. I really wish I could break it down for y'all, but I think we've gone long enough with talking about Cruiserweights to not give you a play-by-play of this match. Just go watch it. So with that being said, bottom line, my next match, Mustafa Ali versus Jack Gallagher from the Single Elimination Cruiserweight Championship Tournament. And again, this got Nigel McGuinness to stand up, a respected legend of the wrestling industry, now retired. So if you got Nigel standing for you, you know you did something right. Chris, what is your number 20 on your top 25 list of the best Cruiserweight matches you've seen on 205 Live?
The Gentleman Jack Gallagher versus the Brian Kendrick, no disqualification, at the end of August 2017.
Oh, okay.
It was an interesting storytelling what they did. I love the scenario, the not the promo, but the segment they had a few weeks prior where he pretty much was, Brian Kendrick was dressing up as a gentleman, and he called him a third-rate William Regal.
And a clown.
And a clown, yeah. And the match itself was very entertaining. Brawling on the outside, very entertaining. It showed a vicious side of Brian Kendrick that we all have seen before. We saw it in TNA, how vicious he could be. He could be vicious. He still can be vicious at times. So I just thought it was kind of interesting how that match was on my list, and I had all this scenario played out from the beginning of 205 Live with the opening match, too. So that's why I said there was some history there. The match end was something that you really didn't see very much of at that time, how the match ended, where he pretty much Brian Kendrick DDT'd him on the ring bell, and then even after he's out like a log, he has to be unconscious, instead of pinning him, taking that Singapore cane and hooking on his finish just to add insult to everything. And then he gets a submission win, even though the gentleman couldn't even submit. He was unconscious at that point. But I think what made it more interesting is, look what he did. It ended up turning him heel shortly after.
Correct. And here we got with the Brian Kendrick.
Yep. So it was very interesting. And now, look, 2 years later, I mean, we could be revisiting this storyline here with a different take on it now.
Yeah, because right now you don't necessarily know who's the heel, who's the face, and the three men, they're all over the place. You got another factor now here, though. Akira Tozawa. Is Akira Tozawa the one that's being basically manipulated by the Brian Kendrick? I mean, they do call him not only his friend, but his training partner. Only time will tell. Great pick. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Which match do you prefer, folks? But with that, we are done this week on 205 Live Matters, the post-SummerSlam edition. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in as always. And, of course, Chris, thank you as always for your insight, knowledge, support, and analytics and stances for this week's episode. Is there anything you want to plug, and where can people find you?
Well, you're not going to find me anywhere right now, except no one knows how to find me, and a few other people know how to find me till I get my social media figured out. But it's okay. So anyway, just support Aftermatch Wrestling. Stephen and Jerry do a great job. But, hey, if you ever want to learn what happens when you lose a bet against Jerry, go ahead and watch the Tea Party just for this, and you'll see towards the end what happens when you lose to Jerry on predictions, who never wins the predictions. You'll find out what happens and what I have to do at the end. So go check that out. So, and then support Cindy G and all the work she does. Support good brother Chris and the AEW Nation Facebook page. I got over 12,000 right now. And support James and Owen. They do great work. Owen's getting ready to be posting his 2000th episode, so I'm waiting for that. I know you've done your little video thing on there. I've done mine as well. It's great guy, very entertaining. Like I said, he does great work. He's a good kid. Support Colin Andrews and the Chopping Block. He does great work. He did a great job hosting What's NXT the last couple weeks. I was on there. Yes, I had a wig on, so I don't have that wig on anymore, so don't freak out. And like I say, he did a great job hosting What's NXT this week as well, so support his channel. He does great work. But like I said, last but not least, like I said, always support this man. Like I said, we do this show every week. Hopefully by the time we get to episode 50, I keep working on trying to get new guests on the show. Like I said, I've admitted, he knows, I've even emailed the Solid Monster. I've emailed a few people here and there trying to get responses, trying to get new people to come join us, talk about 205 Live. Right. But I think since we're going to do this and it's a surprise and it's taking a little bit, I think by the time episode 50 gets here, Noah's going to get a surprise because of that. We've been working, as you saw in the Tea Party, my daughter's an artist and she did the painting for the Tea Party, so she's been working on one for 205 Live. It takes a little bit of time. She does theater arts too, so bear with us. So I think by the time episode 50 of 205 Live Matters debut, we should be debuting that painting by then, and we could show how talented he is for us and that 205 Live Matters team that does these shows with Noah every week. So that's all I got to plug and promote right now. Oh, and always support No DQ because they're the reason we do this. So there you go.
Hey, there you go. Very nice. And shout out to your daughter. Bless her heart. You can't rush perfection. And I appreciate all artistic talents. Thank you as always as well, Chris. Appreciate you too and your family. And folks, if you want to know more about me, you kind of got an idea if you've met me at the NotiQ meetup in Toronto. My voice is still recovering and so is my head. But I'm still staying busy and going for this. But if you want to know more about me, know this. I'm just a simple man. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am a lifelong fan of wrestling. So if you want to follow me and talk anything wrestling, and I mean anything wrestling, look me up on Twitter. NotiQ.com/Noah takes you to my Twitter page, or follow my simple YouTube channel here at youtube.com/user/NoahFoster210. A lot of stuff coming up. There'll be an audio simple take on the Ring of Our Summer Supercar I saw live. Good brother Chris and I will be doing bracketology, simple bracketology videos on both the Super J Cup and King of the Ring. And also stay tuned for a simple take on Stardom World, as well as in collab with this gentleman here. Of course, every week, hashtag #205 Master the Heart of It, and all sorts of other things wrestling, WWE and beyond, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Independent Wrestling, support Independent Wrestling, folks, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, you name it, it's there, it's wrestling, have fun with it. Everything under a nice, simple playlist for you, too. And as he alluded to, support NoDQ. They're the reason I'm in YouTube, and all of us are here to begin with, too. So go buy a shirt. I have a shirt. NoDQ.com/shirts. Buy the Troll Slayer shirt. Buy Cindy's shirt. Buy Aaron's shirt. Aaron with an E. Aaron with an A. I don't care. Buy everyone's shirt. Buy everything. Everything. There's so much stuff there. Mugs, hats, tapestries, hoodies, so much great stuff, and more to come, I'm sure. And, of course, follow NoDQ on all your social media platforms. Your opinions matter. Go follow the official website. Make a friend. Make an enemy. And Control Virtue. There's a comment section on everything. Polls, comms, recaps, gifts, reviews, sexy female pics. You name it, it's there. It's wrestling, primarily WWE, with a sprinkle now of independent wrestling, mostly New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW. Speaking of which, stay tuned to NoDQ.com and my simple YouTube channel here for stuff on what I'm calling my last day of my summer of wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling's World Quest, AEW All Out, and NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. Oh, jeez. A lot of predictions coming, a lot of videos coming, a lot of content, and there will be extras too if anything is added, of course, prior to that as well. And as always, I'd like to close. Support your wrestling outlets for big and small, and let's keep growing this wrestling community together. Simple as that. And join the hashtag #205 Facebook group too. If you respect Cruiserweight Wrestling, then now and forever, 205 Live or beyond, we'll add you. It's that simple. But with that, sorry, my brain went dead. Darn it! I'm tired. It's freaking. I'm freaking 1 week off from Toronto. All right, I'm still recovering. I don't know why I'm going to recover till Monday. But anyway, with that, thank you so much for everybody tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, comment, dislike. I dare you. Tell a friend. Tell somebody. Tell a stranger. Go find some wrestling. There's something out there for everybody. I will be going with a friend to an independent wrestling show next week. Extreme Chaos Wrestling, so stay tuned for a simple predictions video on that as well. Again, a lot of stuff. I'm staying busy. Again, thank you for tuning in. Until the next video, enjoy life, take care of your families, enjoy wrestling. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Find a reason to be happy, find a happy place, find some downtime if you can too. And until the next video, whether here on NoDQ, on somewhere else in YouTube, my channel, or beyond, I hope you all have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all.
And remember, 205 Live matters.
Always.
Bye, everybody.